Let me tell you a truth most men avoid. Your future is not waiting for you to be ready. It is demanding that you show up now, not tomorrow, not when you feel like it, not when your fears go away. Right now. You may say you want success. You may speak it out loud. But until your actions reflect that desire, you are simply practicing self-deception. The universe does not respond to your dreams. It responds to your discipline. And discipline begins with showing up for yourself, consistently, urgently, relentlessly. When you show up for yourself, success takes notice. It watches. It waits. And the moment it sees you mean business, it moves toward you. But never before. The man who expects success without inner commitment is like a farmer who refuses to till the soil, yet complains of no harvest. The law is simple. If you do not prepare the ground, you cannot expect the seed to grow. Most men plant desires but water them with excuses. They want the result, but not the routine. And so their life becomes a cycle of frustration. But if you decide once and for all that you will show up for yourself, not out of emotion, but out of principle, everything changes. The soil of success responds quickly to the man who works while others wait. What does it mean to show up for yourself? It means honoring the vision you claim to have. It means rising early, even when no one is watching. It means doing the hard thing not because you're inspired, but because you are responsible. Success respects those who respect themselves. And self-respect is built in silence, through unseen effort, through sacrifices made behind closed doors, through promises kept when no applause is given. You do not show up for the world first. You show up for your own destiny. You walk towards your higher self without needing permission, validation, or comfort. Let me be direct with you. If you do not master the art of self-showing, you will forever live under the influence of external control. Your emotions will own you. Your fears will guide you. Your doubts will direct your path. You will become a slave to circumstances. But when you show up for yourself with unshakable consistency, you reclaim authority over your life. You take command. You become the captain of your soul. And the man who commands himself cannot be conquered by others. He is not moved by rejection. He is not shaken by delay. Because he understands, he is his own source of power. You must understand that success is not attracted to noise. It is not impressed by intention. It is not seduced by mere ambition. Success follows structure. It respects repetition. It rewards the man who does not negotiate with laziness. This is why showing up must become non-negotiable. It must become your code. The sacred agreement you keep with yourself every single day, regardless of feelings, fatigue, or fear. The moment you make showing up a standard instead of a struggle, life begins to yield. You will find that doors open not because you knocked, but because you became someone who refuses to stay outside. Think about this. Most people spend their lives waiting for motivation. They wait for clarity. They wait for someone to inspire them. And in that waiting, their lives dissolve. But the man who shows up despite confusion, he becomes clear. The man who shows up despite fear, he becomes fearless. The man who shows up while others sleep, he earns the life others only dream of. You do not need more information. You do not need another course, another book, another mentor. You need to execute what you already know. That is the true test of character, not how much you learn, but how much you apply without delay. You must not forget this principle. Every time you delay showing up, you send a message to your subconscious that your goals are negotiable. And your mind begins to believe you. It begins to treat your dreams as optional. But when you show up without excuse, your mind begins to follow. It starts to believe you are a man of his word. And when your inner world aligns with your outer actions, momentum is born. That momentum becomes your advantage. It gives you the power to move forward even when the path is uncertain. It gives you leverage over your lesser self. It silences doubt because results begin to speak louder. Let me remind you, the men who shape history are not those who waited for ideal circumstances. They are the ones who created momentum from the dust. They built legacies with blistered hands and bloody determination. They showed up when they were mocked. They showed up when they were broke. They showed up when no one cared. And that showing up became their weapon. That discipline became their identity. You must not envy the results if you are unwilling to endure the routine. If you are not yet living the life you desire, it is not because it's out of reach. It is because you have not yet demanded enough from yourself. This is not about burnout. This is not about grinding endlessly for the sake of exhaustion. This is about strategic consistency, showing up with intention, with clarity, with purpose. It means prioritizing what matters most and eliminating what distracts. It means creating an environment where your habits support your goals. It means designing your day so that failure becomes difficult and progress becomes automatic. You must become ruthless with your time, because time is the only currency that cannot be refunded. Every hour you don't show up is an hour your competitors gain. Every day you disappear is a day your legacy weakens. You must also show up in your thoughts. Do not think for a moment that your mindset is a passive element. No. Your thoughts are either working for you or against you. Every day you must show up mentally prepared. You must guard your thinking like a fortress. Refuse to entertain weakness. Refuse to indulge victimhood. Refuse to recycle limiting beliefs. Replace them with resolve, with precision, with fire. Your thoughts must reflect where you are going, not where you've been. And the only way to transform thought is through repeated action. You rewire your mind by doing what your old self feared. Let us address another truth. Most men give up not because they are incapable, but because they lack endurance. They start strong but disappear at the first sign of adversity. They expect success to come quickly, and when it doesn't, they retreat. But the man who shows up day after day becomes immune to setbacks. He expects resistance. He prepares for difficulty. And because he prepares, he prevails. Success favors those who endure more than those who merely begin. So, if you're looking for an edge, let it be this: outlast everyone. Show up longer than they do. Train longer. Think deeper. Refuse to stop. Success is not a reward for talent. It is a reward for resilience. For the man who refuses to sit out his own life. For the man who chooses discipline over ease. For the man who shows up with full heart, even on half-full days. And once you begin this path, do not look back. Burn the bridge to your old identity. Show up as who you must become, not who you were. And every single day you do, you move closer to the man success cannot ignore. It is not about perfection. It is about presence. Relentless, undeniable, consistent presence. So I ask you now, in all seriousness, are you willing to show up for yourself, even when it's hard, even when it's lonely, even when nothing seems to be changing? Because that, my friend, is the line that separates the masses from the masters. Those who wait for success and those who command it. Those who wonder what happened and those who make it happen. You already know what must be done. The only question is, will you do it without compromise? Let this be the day you stop waiting and start moving. The day you stop hoping and start building. The day you stop watching and start becoming. Show up for yourself, and success will have no choice but to show up for you. That is the law. That is the truth. That is a legacy you can write with your own hands, starting now. If you truly wish to shift your life, you must adopt the mentality that each day is a sacred opportunity, not to be spent, but to be invested. There is a stark difference between spending and investing your time. The man who spends time often regrets. The man who invests time, he multiplies. You cannot attract wealth, power, or influence if your day is squandered on distraction. If your focus is split, your results will be scattered. Showing up for yourself also means protecting your time like a man protects his fortune. For time is more valuable than money. You can regain money, but once an hour slips away without purpose, it cannot be recovered. So ask yourself, how many hours have you surrendered to doubt, to laziness, to gossiping, to meaningless conversation? And now ask yourself, what would happen if you reclaimed them? There lies the hidden secret most men never realize. It is not more effort they need, it is more alignment. You are not tired because you work too much. You are tired because you are unaligned. Your daily habits contradict your deepest desires. You say you want greatness, yet your schedule is filled with mediocrity. You must eliminate this internal war. If you want to attract success, your thoughts, habits, words, and actions must move in the same direction. That's what it means to show up. To remove the gap between who you are and who you pretend to be. Close that gap and energy will flood into your spirit. You'll no longer need to chase success. It will chase you. Most men are imprisoned not by their environment, but by their excuses. The moment you stop making excuses is the moment you begin rewriting your destiny. Do not tell me you're too busy. Every man has the same 24 hours. Do not tell me you're not ready. Readiness is a decision, not a feeling. Do not tell me it's hard. Of course it's hard. But that difficulty is what separates the disciplined from the distracted. If you want to lead yourself into a new season of wealth, respect, and impact, you must sever your allegiance to excuses. Excuses are the language of failure. Eliminate them and watch how fast your path clears. That is not theory, it is law. The man who truly shows up does so in silence. He does not need to announce his return. He does not need to explain his ambition. He allows his discipline to speak for him. He lets the results testify. So stop waiting for others to validate your journey. Most people won't understand your silence. They'll call it cold. They'll call it selfish. Let them. Because they do not understand the price of greatness. You are not here to entertain. You are here to evolve. And your evolution demands isolation, focus, and inner fire. The world will see the results when it's time. But for now, show up in silence. Train in darkness. Build without applause. Let success be your noise. Now, let us talk about the emotional weight of this journey. Many men start showing up with energy, but life hits back. People betray them. Results take longer. Doubt grows louder. And they begin to question their path. But let me remind you, pain is not a signal to stop. It is a signal to deepen. Pain is confirmation that you are moving into new territory. If it were easy, everyone would be doing it. If it were comfortable, you wouldn't grow. Showing up for yourself means embracing discomfort as your companion. It means trusting the process, even when results are invisible. It means remaining unshakable in your commitment. That's what breeds respect. First from yourself, then from others. You do not become respected by speaking about your dreams. You become respected by enduring the seasons that others avoid, by holding the line when others fold, by remaining consistent when others retreat. That is how respect is earned, not in words, but in unwavering action. You must build your reputation with yourself first, because no one will believe in you until you believe in yourself. No one will respect your voice until you respect your discipline. And no one will reward you until you've paid your dues in silence. This is the harsh truth, and it's the reason why so few rise. But if you are willing to rise, if you are willing to do the hard thing again and again, then respect will follow you like a shadow. Let us talk about your environment. Show me the people you spend your time with, and I'll show you your future. If you surround yourself with complainers, you will start justifying mediocrity. If you surround yourself with critics, you'll begin doubting your path. But if you place yourself among disciplined men, builders, thinkers, warriors, you'll rise. You cannot attract success while sitting in circles of comfort. You must show up for yourself by elevating your environment. Clean your room. Sharpen your routines. Study relentlessly. Listen to words that ignite fire, not fear. Your external environment reflects your internal commitment. And once your space reflects your vision, your mind will begin to treat your goals as reality. You must also master your morning. The first hour of your day sets the tone for all that follows. Do not allow distraction to enter your mind before you've given yourself clarity. Do not react. Do not drift. Wake up with a mission. Write it. Speak it. Move toward it. Even if you're tired, show up. Especially if you're tired, show up. That early battle with the lesser self determines whether the rest of your day is aligned or scattered. When you win your mornings, you win your life. Success is not complicated. It is constructed moment by moment, morning by morning, choice by choice. There is another truth you must not forget. Showing up for yourself includes saying no. No to invitations that dilute your purpose. No to habits that pull you off course. No to people who drain your energy. Every time you say yes to distraction, you say no to your destiny. Discipline is not about adding more. It's about subtracting what weakens you. You must become a man who protects his priorities with ferocity. You are not being rude. You are being wise. A man who stands for nothing will fall for everything. But a man who stands for his vision, he is unshakable. That is what showing up looks like. Let me ask you, do your actions reflect the man you say you want to become? If I followed you for a day, would your behavior match your ambition? Would your routines match your desires? Or would I see contradiction? The man who shows up for himself lives in harmony. His actions, thoughts, and language are synchronized. He does not declare one thing and do another. He does not speak of wealth while sowing habits of poverty. He does not talk about impact while living in distraction. There is integrity in his walk, and that integrity becomes magnetic. People feel it. Opportunities follow it. That is the power of alignment. Too many people live for the approval of others, and in doing so they abandon themselves. They show up for everyone else, but not for their own goals. They keep promises to others, but break every promise to themselves. This is betrayal of the highest order. Your destiny does not belong to your friends, your family, or your followers. It belongs to you. And until you begin honoring yourself with the same devotion you give to others, you will remain stuck. So let today be the turning point. Choose yourself, not with arrogance, but with reverence. Choose yourself, because your life depends on it. And once you do, you will find that success has been waiting for you to finally take yourself seriously. When you truly show up for yourself, you become a magnet, not just for success, but for respect, energy, ideas, and divine alignment. You begin to meet people on the same frequency. You attract opportunities not by begging, but by becoming. You no longer chase, you command. Because you are no longer someone trying to become, you are someone who is becoming. And in that state, life flows toward you. The world yields to the man who walks with inner clarity and unbreakable consistency. That is the hidden force of all great men. They became predictable in their discipline. They showed up so often that the world could not ignore them. Let this be your new standard. No matter what happens, you show up. Sick, show up. Tired, show up. Discouraged, show up. Alone, show up. Because if you only show up when it's easy, you'll never go beyond average. But if you show up when it's hard, when it's invisible, when it's lonely, that's when you grow beyond limits. And it is in that consistent showing up, even in darkness, that you build the foundation for the success that will inevitably come. Success does not delay, it watches, it waits. And the moment you become someone who cannot be stopped, it appears. Not as a surprise, but as a reward. Understand this. Your mind is not just a receiver, it is a transmitter. The energy you pour into your actions, whether strong or weak, is the same energy that is reflected back to you from the world. When you show up half-heartedly, the results you attract will be scattered and weak. When you show up with full force, despite pain, despite opposition, despite delay, then the results you attract begin to take on that same tenacity. Life mirrors your state of being. If you want greater rewards, become a greater steward of your own consistency. Discipline is a universal magnet. It commands recognition, and when you carry it, you walk differently. You decide differently. You no longer look for shortcuts. You build the road with your own sweat. That is the power of showing up for yourself daily with a spirit of intensity and integrity. The problem with most men is not a lack of ambition, but a lack of endurance. They can dream big, but they cannot stay disciplined long enough to bring those dreams into reality. The initial spark is not the challenge. It's maintaining the fire day after day, especially when the results are invisible. You must train your mind to stay the course when motivation vanishes. That's the mark of real power. Showing up when it's boring. Showing up when it feels pointless. Showing up when no one claps. That is the secret to building the invisible staircase toward success. Brick by brick, word by word, step by step, and eventually the mountain you once thought insurmountable becomes the foundation you stand upon. Every time you show up for yourself when it's hard, you build proof in your own subconscious that you are capable, and that proof compounds. The man who doubts himself does so because he has repeatedly abandoned himself. The man who trusts himself does so because he has shown up through pain, through fog, through fear. If you want to attract success effortlessly, you must first become someone who refuses to betray his own word. Self-trust is the beginning of all success, and self-trust is born not in success, but in solitude, in the quiet hours, in the unseen work, in the hard choices made when no one is watching. That's when you become magnetic. Let's speak of fatigue, for it will come. Your body will ache. Your spirit will get tired. You will look at your goals and wonder, is this even worth it? But this is where most men misunderstand their journey. Fatigue is not failure, it is feedback. It is the signal that you are exerting effort beyond your previous limits. Don't resent it. Listen to it. It means you are growing. Don't confuse exhaustion with a wrong path. The right path is often the most demanding one. Use rest as a tool, not a home. Recharge, then return. And when you return, show up stronger. Never let a bad day become a bad week. Never let doubt become your language. You are in training, not retreat. To attract wealth and respect, you must operate like a man who already has them. That means you must carry yourself with structure, with principle, with discipline, even when you're broke, unseen, or underestimated. You don't wait for success to dress well, to speak well, to think well. You do those things now, not for appearance, but for alignment. When your behavior matches the man you aim to become, the universe takes notice. Energy rewards integrity. And integrity is simply this: doing the hard thing, the right thing, the necessary thing, even when no one will ever give you credit. That is the seed of all greatness, and the man who plants it consistently is guaranteed a harvest. The marketplace does not reward potential. It rewards proof, and the only proof you can control is your daily action. You can speak all the affirmations in the world, visualize all the dreams, but if you do not show up with work, effort, and sacrifice, nothing changes. Dreams without execution are delusion. It is better to do average things with extreme consistency than to chase brilliance with no follow-through. Do the work, even when it's dull, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Every drop of sweat compounds. Every task you complete when others would quit builds momentum that will one day make you unstoppable. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present every single day. Now let's address fear. Fear is the silent killer of dreams. Not because it stops you, but because it convinces you to stop yourself. You hesitate. You delay. You overthink. And in that hesitation, opportunity vanishes. You cannot show up for yourself while negotiating with fear. Fear will always be present, but it must never be in the driver's seat. You must look fear in the eye and walk forward anyway. That is how you build courage, not by feeling brave, but by acting boldly. And when you act bold enough, often enough, fear loses its grip. You begin to rewire your nervous system to associate movement with safety, not paralysis. That's when your life accelerates. Consider your self-image. The way you see yourself determines how you show up. If you see yourself as weak, you will act weakly. If you see yourself as someone who never follows through, you will continue that pattern. But if you begin to declare and behave as a man of principle, a man of execution, a man of unstoppable intent, you will begin to change. Identity is not fixed. It is shaped through repeated behavior. So instead of trying to force change, focus on showing up in a way that your future self would admire. Ask yourself daily, would the man I want to be approve of how I handle this day? If the answer is yes, you are on track. If the answer is no, fix it immediately. Your words must match your walk. Too many men talk with power, but walk with weakness. They declare their dreams, but shrink at discipline. You cannot deceive yourself. Your spirit keeps the score. And every time you say you'll do something and don't, you lose internal power. But every time you follow through, especially when it's inconvenient, you gain And over time, that inner power becomes unshakable. When a man is internally congruent, he cannot be manipulated, swayed, or broken by circumstances. His power is not borrowed, it is built, and others can feel it. They begin to trust him. They begin to follow him. That's how you attract not just wealth and respect, but influence. There will be days when nothing seems to work, when your results don't match your effort, when life feels unfair. But that is exactly when you must double down, because the work you do in the valley is what prepares you for the mountain. Most men quit too soon, not because they aren't capable, but because they expected results too quickly. Success is always testing you. It wants to know, are you showing up for the rewards, or are you showing up because it's who you are? If you're only in it for the outcome, you will burn out. But if you show up because it is now your identity, nothing can stop you. Consistency must become your character, not your strategy. Let us now speak of integrity to self. There is no external victory that can compensate for internal betrayal. When you violate your own standards, when you delay your purpose, when you hide your power, you may escape the judgment of others, but you will face the judgment of your own soul, and that judgment is the harshest of all. Do not spend years building a life that impresses the world but leaves you hollow. Show up for yourself by telling the truth, first to yourself. If you're slacking, admit it. If you're distracted, correct it. If you're slipping, fix it. Not next week. Now, success is built by men who respond to reality, not those who escape into excuses. Your time is your power. Each day is currency. And every hour you waste on mediocrity is an hour stolen from your destiny. Be ruthless with your attention. Audit your habits. Audit your circle. Audit your inputs. If it doesn't elevate your energy, your focus, or your mission, it is a threat. Treat it accordingly. Most people fail not because they didn't try, but because they were too tolerant of low standards. Raise your standards, and your life must rise with them. Do not lower your fire to match the room. Show up with full flame, and force the room to rise, or leave it behind. That is how kings think. That is how warriors build legacies. You must master repetition. Repetition is the mother of skill, the root of mastery. Don't look for novelty, look for power. Repeat what works until it becomes instinct. The most dangerous man is not the one with the most tools, but the one who has mastered one. Show up and repeat. Refine. Sharpen. Repeat again. Build your morning. Build your mindset. Build your mission over and over until it becomes impossible to separate you from success because you've become synonymous with discipline. That's how greatness is built. Quietly, repetitively, powerfully. In closing this section, remember this truth. The world rewards the man who shows up, not just once, not just in bursts, but daily, with fire, with discipline, with silence, with resolve. The man who cannot be stopped, cannot be ignored. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need permission. You need to rise every day and show the universe, I am ready. That's when success shows up too, not out of mercy, but because you earned it. Every morning you rise and show up, the universe takes note. And when you become undeniable, results become inevitable. Success does not show up by accident. It is summoned by the man who has shown he can be trusted with it. You must understand that the universe does not respond to desperation. It responds to decisiveness. When you walk with conviction, when you speak with clarity, and when your actions echo your principles, opportunity begins to orbit you. Most men are repelling what they desire because they are still negotiating with doubt. They move 2 steps forward, then retreat at the first sign of difficulty. But the man who shows up consistently, whether broke or tired or overlooked, begins to emit a force that cannot be denied. His very presence becomes a magnet for advancement, not because the world pities him, but because the world respects constancy. Show up long enough, and the tide will turn in your favor. But here is a truth many will resist. You must show up before you feel ready, waiting for the perfect mood, the perfect environment, the perfect inspiration that is the habit of amateurs. Professionals begin in imperfection. They move forward without waiting, because they know momentum creates motivation, not the other way around. When you sit idle, doubt grows. When you act, confidence is born. The moment you move, even if the movement is small, you gain power. You must condition yourself to act decisively when the weak would hesitate. You must be the kind of man who does not require external validation to do internal work. That is the true mark of maturity. And that is where wealth, respect, and power begin. Show up in the dark. That's when the transformation happens. The mornings you rise when it's cold. The evenings you stay disciplined when no one is watching. These are the moments when character is being forged. They may not be glamorous, they may not be praised, but they are sacred. Because every time you honor your word in solitude, you earn the right to lead in public. People will eventually follow the man who has led himself well. That is why showing up is not just about habit, it's about identity. You become the kind of man who does what must be done. Not when it's easy, not when it's convenient, but always. And that kind of man cannot be ignored. The question is not whether you are gifted. The question is whether you are gritty. Grit is the ability to show up when everything tells you to quit. Grit is staying the course when applause stops, when energy drops, when progress stalls. Talent may open the door, but grit kicks it down and builds a kingdom inside. Show up, not just when it's working, but when it's not. Show up when you've been overlooked. Show up when they laugh. Show up when they forget you. And then one day they will have no choice but to remember. Because the man who refused to vanish becomes the man they cannot replace. Now understand this. If you don't show up for yourself, no one else will. You teach others how to treat you by how you treat yourself. If you betray your own vision, they will too. If you delay your own progress, they will question your value. But when you respect your own time, your own mission, your own effort, you radiate a presence that commands recognition. Not arrogance, alignment. And that alignment becomes your shield against mediocrity. It becomes the boundary that filters out distractions and disrespects. The more you show up with standards, the less tolerance you'll have for people who live without them. And that's when your circle evolves. That's when your life elevates. All because you chose to stay loyal to your higher self. You must also learn to show up with joy. Not every day will feel joyful, but your attitude is your responsibility. Resentment repels success. Gratitude attracts it. Do the hard things with a good spirit. Carry your burden with strength, not complaint. The man who smiles while suffering is the man the world trusts with more, because he has proven that his emotions do not govern his mission. Let others whine. Let others fold. You must endure with fire in your soul. And if the fire flickers, feed it. Speak life into yourself. Stand in front of the mirror and declare who you are becoming. not who you've been, not who you fear you are, but who you are committed to becoming every single day. Let's talk about the clock. Your days are numbered. Every sunrise is a chance, not a guarantee. And the greatest tragedy is not failure. It is a man who could have become more but never showed up long enough to find out. Time is your greatest currency. Do not spend it on regret. Do not waste it on low-value habits. Audit every hour like your life depends on it, because it does. Build rituals that reinforce your power. Morning routines, deep work sessions, evening reflection. Do these not because they are popular, but because they produce results. And then do them relentlessly. Rituals are how men rise, not by bursts of passion, but by predictable patterns of execution. Show up for your structure, and your structure will build the life you desire. When you feel tired, rest, but never retreat. Rest is a weapon, not an escape. Rest to recover, not to hide. The weak man confuses rest with retreat. The strong man uses it as fuel. Know the difference. And when you rise again, rise with vengeance. Attack your goals with the energy of a man who knows his days are precious. Let that urgency give you clarity. Let it strip away excuses. Show up with intensity. Show up with intent. Show up with gratitude. That is how you bend time to your favor. That is how you turn average years into legendary seasons. Every man you admire once stood where you stand now, alone, unknown, uncertain, but he kept showing up. That is the only difference. He wasn't more worthy. He wasn't chosen. He was committed. And the universe rewards commitment with compound interest. Each action builds upon the last. Each hour you invest is a seed, and eventually that harvest becomes visible. People will call it luck. They will call it talent, but you will know the truth. You simply outlasted their inconsistency. You stayed. You showed up. And now you shine, because you refused to dim your light just because the world wasn't ready. You lit it anyway, and eventually they came running to the flame. If you've made mistakes, good. That means you've been active. Don't let guilt stop your growth. Let it inform your direction. Mistakes are the tuition you pay for wisdom. Show up anyway, even when you feel unworthy, even when you feel behind. Your future self is waiting, not for your perfection, but for your persistence. Get back up. Get back to work. Success is not owned. It is rented. And the rent is due every day. Pay it with effort, with sweat, with silence, with sacrifice. And over time, your life will transform in ways you never imagined. Finally, remember this. Success is not a destination you arrive at. It is a frequency you learn to live on. And to stay on that frequency, you must show up for yourself consistently, ruthlessly, faithfully. You don't show up because you feel like it. You show up because it's who you are. And when you do, when you become the kind of man who can be counted on by himself, you will unlock a life that most only dream of. Wealth will follow. Respect will follow. But most importantly, self-respect will follow. And that is the crown no one can take from you. So rise tomorrow and every day after with one mission: show up for your goals, for your greatness, for the man you were born to be. Because when you do, success has no choice but to arrive, not by miracle, but by law. The law of cause and effect. You cause it by your action, You effect it by your consistency. That is the secret. That is the standard. That is the way. And once you understand that truth, not just intellectually, but deep in your bones, you will stop waiting. You will stop hoping that someone or something will save you, because you will know it's not about waiting for the stars to align. It's about becoming the man who aligns himself with his purpose, daily, intentionally, unshakably. When you show up again and again, you begin to command a force far greater than luck. You build momentum, and momentum is divine. It multiplies your results, sharpens your focus, and removes the noise of self-doubt. That's when the world starts to move out of your way, not because it owes you, but because you've earned it. The law of cause and effect never fails. You showed up, and now success is showing up for you. There will come a moment when all your effort, all your discipline, all your lonely hours will converge into breakthrough. You will feel the shift, not in applause, not in headlines, but in the way you carry yourself. Calm, confident, centered. That's the reward. That's the transformation. You won't just have success, you will have become success. And that man, that version of you, is the real wealth. Because once you become him, nothing external can shake you. You know your power. You've proven your consistency. You've built your own momentum. And now the world reflects it. Opportunities appear. People notice. Respect arrives. But all of it is the byproduct, not the goal. The goal was you. The goal was to show up and keep showing up until the man you imagined became the man you are. So if you're reading this, understand, it's your time. Stop looking for signs. Stop asking for permission. Stop waiting for someone to validate your dream. That responsibility is yours. That authority is yours. You don't need to feel ready. You need to feel committed. And once that decision is made, truly made, nothing will stop you. Not failure, not fatigue, not fear. Because you'll finally understand that showing up is not the struggle, it's the solution. Show up raw. Show up broken. Show up confused. But show up. That act alone separates you from the millions who never will. And that separation, that's the space where greatness grows. Now go. With fire in your heart and purpose in your eyes. You've waited long enough. The world isn't waiting. Your greatness isn't waiting. So don't you wait either. Show up one more time. Then again. Then again. Until your life reflects everything you were born to become. And when it does, when the wealth, the respect, the purpose all arrive, remember, you summoned them. You didn't hope. You didn't beg. You acted. You showed up. And that's why they showed up too.